Let's go back to PDS because the Alliance for Social Equity and Public Accountability, ASEPA, has asked government to set up a board of trustees to manage funds of ECG until proper cleanup of the PDC's mess happens. In a statement issued and signed by the Executive Director, Mensa Thompson, ASEPA calls for an immediate establishment of the trustee with representatives from the various power sector players and also a monitoring and supervisory entity like PIAC to ensure transparency and accountability in the collection and distribution of revenues from ECG to the appropriate sector, power sector players. He spoke earlier on News Desk.
The first thing that government needs to do is to take steps to secure the revenue inflows coming to ECG. It's very important. It's very, very important. And how do we do that? Because they are individual energy sector players who are all contributing in the production and distribution of power, it is important that we set up a trustee with representatives from each of these individual players so that at the end of the month, when the revenues are collected, these representatives from the board of trustees meet and see that the money is distributed to the appropriate entities so that there's no debt created in the sector. Since PDS took over, even though PDS is at the bottom of the value chain, if you look at the production of power, the fuel that is being used to run the power plant is taken from GMPC or is supplied by GMPC. Without that fuel, the power plants cannot run and we cannot produce electricity. So in terms of the value chain, GMPC is on top. Then the IPPs will come in. The independent power producers will produce power and feed it into the national grid so that government, or GridCo can give it to ECG for distribution. Also comes next. Then GridCo, then PDS is at the bottom. But because PDS was the one collecting the money, and because our tariffs are also not enough, because last year government reduced the tariffs, and that lowered the revenue that was coming in. And so instead of PDS ensuring that everybody on the table get their share, PDS takes the money and pay themselves, and everyone else can go to hell. And PDS, and that has created a lot of debt with the IPPs, with GMPC and the other players. And so to ensure that that does not happen, so that the government do not come back to us again next year asking us for extra revenue through ESLA to pay those debts that have been created in the energy sector, we have to ensure that all the power sector players get their fair share of the revenue that ECG will be collecting. And so you set up a trustee with their various representatives on that trustee.
Mensa Thompson there speaking earlier on News Desk. Well, we'll go back to the PDS story. We understand that the press conference has not begun yet at the Information Ministry.